Hello and welcome to this new top 5 video, this time featuring my top 5 favourite series openers. This can be from any of the NuWho series. No classic Who, as I'm not overly up to date on where a series ends with those. I'm just in it for the story really. I will also not be counting anything in the complete specials box set, so that's any of those specials because it wasn't a series. It was just specials. So those are the ground rules. Any of these that you can see in front of you, except for the last one, which is the Series 10 opener, hence why this video's here. Let's get straight into this with number 5. Rose is the opener of all openers really, isn't it? Though I was 7 years old when this first broadcast, I have seen it many a time when it came back round and then on DVD as well. This episode for me, it's the start, it's the groundwork for modern Doctor Who. Christopher Eccleston, Billie Piper, they gave us a completely new rebooted show. They explained the TARDIS, they gave us a modern location, one we would recognise, they gave the fans of the show a villain that they would recognise in the Autons. And we just knew that they meant business when they killed off Clive. I mean, Clive was such a pinnacle character. Arguably one of the funniest episodes of Doctor Who of all time. It is of course the wonderful partners in crime. The best visual gag of the whole episode was miming to each other. That was just hilarious. Of course, the episode wasn't just full of funnies, it had some proper content, including the topic of dieting, something that is very heavily implanted into all our brains in this 21st century. The villain, Matron Ophelia, or something like that, had a sonic pen, and once David Tennant got hold of it and put his sonic up against the other one, he invented a whole new craze in the playground. Both a series opener and a post-regeneration story, Deep Breath is an interesting one and a really good one. Visuals, excellent. Dinosaur in the Thames, love it. The music, fantastic. Some of the best music that has been produced for NuWho. Comedy, Strax throwing the newspaper up at Clara was, I mean, I laugh every time. But at the other end of the scale, Fear, that holding your breath scene was, everyone was holding their breath. And of course the final confrontation between the Doctor and the half-faced man. All the way through this episode there was a real theme of identity, who am I? And that was just absolutely spot on. Smith and Jones had an interesting dilemma. Billie Piper was such a favourite of the fans, so how would people take Freema Agyeman? Well, this was a fantastic episode for her. Judoon on the moon, hospital on the moon, great visuals once again, the rhino policeman that the Doctor had to escape from, confusion of DNA and all that. There was a plasmavore, basically a vampire who had a little straw, which was funny but sinister, and still the episode got a chance to go slow at one point and really sort of get a connection between the Doctor and Martha, which helped out later on in the episode as well. So before we see number 1, let's take a look at the honourable mentions. Asylum of the Daleks was a good episode, but not quite good enough to make my list, unfortunately. A welcome return for the Gold Daleks, and how do you bring them back? Well, you fill a whole room with them. I mean, a massive room, that is. Introduce us to a brand new character, then tell us that she's actually a Dalek. I mean, that's crippling, that. And for the first time, I think, in NuWho, actually visual representation of the Time War, perhaps then the first step towards the 50th anniversary. This one was also very close on being on my main list, but missed out due to the fact that they just spent too long looking for the Doctor in the medieval era, or wherever they were. It was too drawn out, which meant that the overall reveal was sort of rushed. Davros's inclusion was great, but I preferred him in the second part of this two-parter. Part 1 was all set up really, and part 2 was the execution. And I didn't plan to say that just as he points a gun. And so taking the top spot is The Impossible Astronaut. With its grandiose scale starting off in Utah and that amazing the Doctor killed mid-regeneration was something that had been mentioned before, but we'd never seen it, and this really made us think, oh my god, he's dead. And that hung over the series for its entirety, making this the best setup to a series there could possibly have been. This episode also introduced us to the Silence, a fantastic alien race, very alien-like how we would imagine an alien, and dressed in a suit. The suits are the aliens, they're usually hunting them, very clever. And who can forget that Oval Office scene? Fantastic. Great episode, deservedly number 1. So these are my top 5, with honourable mentions. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Give us a clue as to what your top 5 openers are. I want to hear from you. Tell me what you like. The main question is though, will the pilot live up to these expectations that we have given it? We'll see you on Saturday. Thanks for watching. I shall see you next time for something else. Bye bye.